Okay, let's have a look at this powerful teaching. So we know that if a ganav, a thief, says if you find a thief, im himotze timotze biyado Geneva, you find in his hands the theft or what he stole, meshur al chamor, ad sechaim shnayim yishalim. It says he has to pay kefil, he has to pay double. Why? Why have to pay double for? And where did you get that terminology of double? So the Likutei Halachos brings a very powerful insight into the essence of theft and where theft may exist in our lives, not only from a monetary perspective, but on a deeper systemic perspective. Let's have a look. Ganav tzarich l'shalem kefil says you have to pay double. Because you know who the biggest ganav is in your life, in our life. It's the Yetzer Hara and the Sitra Achra. The biggest ganav in our lives is the negative energy that we contain. It is our egoic sense of self, which is referred to as the thief. Now he lives with you. This guy, he lives with you. You worried that someone's jumping over your fence, or God forbid, someone may break through the door, or God forbid, whatever it may be. This guy is living in your house. He's living in your bed. He's living in you. This is the biggest ganav. And now, a ganav, the way that a ganav works is he's very tricky. Very, very tricky. He's able to find all different ways of access, all different ways to penetrate into a space and steal what he needs. And understand the same application is when it comes to the ganav that lives with you. Has unbelievable techniques, unbelievable ways of penetrating into the self to steal what he needs. We'll have to see what he steals. You know what? The biggest state of theft exists in a person's life? Time. Anyone else? He says growth. The biggest theft that exists in our lives is? Oh, wow. Wow, Reb Shlomo. The biggest theft is something called Genevas das. Genevas das is to take someone's mind and take someone's connectivity. So again, if you look at a person, the majority of their life they spend not living. The majority of their life they spend waiting to live, waiting for a problem to be solved, waiting for something to be resolved in order to start living. And the ganav or the Genevas das is that this entity comes in and says, whoa, give me. Let me take this from you. What is it taking from you? It is taking your life energy. And your life energy starts and is manufactured through the space of your mind, your thoughts. So he says the biggest space that a person has in terms of theft in their lives, there's many businesses that have special technology that they implement to see how much energy they're wasting. How much energy are you wasting in your business? Imagine if we had that same technology implemented in our own lives. And we asked ourselves, how much energy do we waste on thoughts that are of absolute naught? Thoughts that are negative, that drain us of our experience of life, that lead to nothingness. As he says here, the main space where the Yetzer Hara comes, the main space where the ego comes, is in our minds and in how we think. And the opposite of which is machshavos tovos. Machshavos tovos is experience joy, resonance, connectivity, positivity. That's the soul talking. The opposite of which is the Yetzer Hara, the opposite of which is the part of us which is not playful, which is not joyful, which is going to be particular about all the negative things that transpire. As it says, "Vayetzer hara shehem machshavos ra'os hem oruvim al ha'adam b'kol eis v'rega kamoi ganav mamish kidei shizyachzu b'machshavtoi shel ha'adam kidei le'avir l'dei hirhur v'taivas kasher yodea kol echa b'nafshe." Now, the more person is in a space of negativity, then the Yetzer Hara has you. As it says, depression is not an Aveira, but depression leads to all the Aveiras in the Torah. And once a person's mind has been infected and stolen, ransacked, a person starts to look for all different mechanisms that try to alleviate that state of negativity and lead them to a state of, God forbid, engaging with taivos, rois, and negative forms of behavior.
So on the flip side too, when things are going really well, it's getting fast and you start thinking you bear need Hashem.
Yes. כי באמת עיקר יצר הרע הוא טייבס וניוב, כמו שזו בדברי עיקר דיצרה בישה. וזו יש הטייבס עיקר תלוי במחשבה. He says, and that leads to sexual promiscuity, and it leads to all the negativity within that space that try to infiltrate the mind and try to look for elements of beauty that give an individual a sense that everything is good. Give a person a sense that there's something exciting and something that can take you out of the darkness. ומי ששומע מחשבתו היטב, שלא ישכיל לחשוב בעניין זה כלל, ולא יבוא לידי הרהור בוודאי הוא ניצול מטייבה זויס. I saw an unbelievable teaching from the Likutei Maharan. Likutei Maharan brings, he says, in Eishas Chayil, we end off Eishas Chayil by saying, Sheker hachein v'hevel hayofi. Sheker hachein v'hevel hayofi. Now he writes like this. What's hevel hayofi? Yofi is beauty. Now, hevel hayofi is that a person looks to beauty to inspire a space of life, to inspire a space of connectivity. But it all starts from the sheker hachein. When a person doesn't have true chein, chein means true connectivity, true joy, true purity of experience of life, they turn to the hevel hayofi. They turn to the emptiness of beauty. They turn to the experience of that which is a constraint in their life, but they think will give them an experience of expansivity. Now listen to this. The Likutei Maharan takes it even further. What's hevel mean? Nothingness, but hevel P means also the breath of your mouth. That's the breath when you breathe. Now he writes that the Gemara says that the affliction for engaging with hevel hayofi, the affliction for looking to the beauty of this world, which is inappropriate and is problematic, is constrained breath. Now, listen to how he says this. He says the opposite of the affliction that a person gets is something called anius. Anius is reference to feeling poverty struck. Interesting. Why? So he says the opposite of which is ashirus. We spoke about ashirus last week, where ashirus is ezu asher sameach b'chelko. When you're happy with your lot and you're feeling, I feel so expansive, I feel so good in myself, I feel so able to breathe and exist. That's ashirus. Now, what happens when you see something beautiful or someone beautiful and you tend to takes away your breath? It's the opposite of ashirus. Ashirus is, I can breathe with depth. The opposite of which is when you turn to beauty, which is inappropriate, it takes away your breath. This is negativity. It is constantly bombarding us about what is going wrong, why we're not happy, why everything is not working out the way I want it to be, instead of letting the mind be very much protected in terms of what is entering into the space. You don't let anyone into your house. I'm sure you don't let anyone into your house. You have a lot of protective measures to prevent that. We have an expert here in the audience with expertise in securing doors. And maybe you want to give the shir, Vasi. You're going to tell us some secrets about how to keep the Genovim out of our heads. So here, כי עיקר כל ההיהורים יסגר בזויס הטייבס, ונим שמחמס שאין שוי במחשב קרוי, וזה מחמס שיצא אוילה במחשבתו איתם כמו גנב ממש, וחויסר אסעת מתחס מחיצויס המויכין. Check this out. He digs underneath the mechitzos. What's a mechitza?
Separation.
The partitions or the walls of our minds. It's an unbelievable concept. How do you have walls of your mind? Do you create a wall of your mind? You say, you know what? I know my mind's going into this space now of whatever it may be. But do I say to myself, whoa. I don't have to go down this rabbit hole of negativity. Who said I have to go? Just because you enter my mind, get out of my house. Get out of my house. You have these stories of these old women, in their homes. The thief comes in and they chase them away with a broom. They go, mamish mashuga. They go get them out of the house. But you, please come sit down. Can I get you a coffee? Please, what can I serve you? That's how we engage with our thoughts, don't we? He comes in. Yes, what would you like to? What would you like? How can I serve you? And not only that, the greatest theft that exists is this constant siphoning of energy underneath. They found in Australia in one of the Jewish schools, the accountant, Nebach, he was, putting aside huge amounts, that he was figuring out how to deal with some structure. No one picked it up. Millions upon millions upon millions of dollars over maybe 20 years. Not a Jewish guy.
Convicts and
Yeah. So the unbelievable scenario here is we look at that and we say, sure, that's shocking. Unbelievable how that can transpire. But the reality is that same Genieva exists inside of us. Not only out there, it exists inside of us right now. It exists inside of us right now. אבל יצא הר חויסר עליו בגניבה גדולה בגוינה וסמחשבתו שתצא לחוץ לחשי מחשב זרס ועיקר הסקברוסי במחשבוס ובדרך גניבה ממש כדי לכל המייסים לב על ענייניו. Okay, so what should you do? He says, צריך האדם נשמע עצמי מוין משמירס יסר בכל עץ באופן של יסקה לא יצא מחשבתו אלא חוץ חס ושלום כי באמס המחשבה ביד האדם כמו בדבר בכמה פעמים נמצא שעיקר פגם הבריס חס ושלום הוא פגם התפילה נמשך על ידי בכינס הגניבה של הבעל דבר. והתיקון הזה על ידי כוח הצדיק שיכול להתפלל בתפילה בבכינס דין שעל ידי זה הסיקשו אחל מוכרחס ליתן הכאויס להחזיר כל הקדושייס אף גם להוציא עצמוס חיוסוי ממש. This is what we have to understand, okay? There's two stages here, as the Maharal brings so powerfully by the halacha that a person should always have two entrances into a shul. Why do you have to have an entrance way of two entrances? Which means that you have one door to enter into the shul and another door to enter into the shul. Why do you need both? So the Maharal brings, because there's two processes that need to transpire. One is you have to guard yourself from outside. You have to remove the energy of the outside. Number two is you have to enter into the inside. You have to actually enter into a space where you experience a deeper space of who you are and what you are. Those are two fundamental steps. As what he's saying here, the number one is to guard yourself, put up walls, meaning if you enter into a space, and what he referred to just now as tefillah, as prayer. Now, what happens in prayer? We come into a space of prayer, which is gavaldic, unbelievable to be in this space together. But how much do we take with us? How many thoughts do we bring with us into that space? How much of the outside world do we allow to enter into the inside world? Scary. It's scary to realize that that is what is transpiring in those spaces. But the second step is the whole foundation of prayer, which is to experience the inner mind, to experience the inner hidden self, which is not premised on anything external, is not felt by most. So he says you have to tap into the tzaddik. You have to tap into what he refers to. There's an extrinsic tzaddik. There's an energy force of an individual external that you see can tap into a space of internality. But every single one of us has an intrinsic tzaddik. Every single one of us has a part of ourselves which is clear and resolute about the inner space of connection, positivity, and resonance. And that's why, Warren, this is why the Ganav needs to pay how much? Double. Kefil. K'meshkosov Chaim Shnayim Yeshalim. He has to pay double. Why? Hainu shmisgabrim alav v'moitzi memena Genieva sheganav mekdusha dahainu kol hadas v'kol hatfilos shebola azai lo yidai shemukrach lachzer kol ma shebola mekdusha ali dei shegneva so af gam hu mukrach lachzer pishnayim dahainu kefil ma shemukrach lo yitzi lahaki kam atzmus chiyusoi mamash bevechines memaboto yerusheinu. As it says, he doesn't only steal your thoughts, he steals your chiyus. When you think about theft, okay, God forbid, it's not only that the person, had their, God forbid, their phone stolen or their wallet stolen or their car stolen, God forbid, for any of those. But if you think about theft, there's much more behind the theft. You're stealing the time, you're stealing a person's ability to engage, you're stealing a person's serenity, you're stealing their menuchas and nefesh. There's so many elements that is stolen. Same too, if you think about what is transpiring when we don't have significant security around our minds and allow ourselves to experience spaces where there's no infiltration into the mind, and at the same time give ourselves the opportunity to experience the deeper mind, you have two things stolen from you. Not only are you running around like a meshugana, but you aren't actually experiencing life at all. In this moment of experiencing fully. That is a hectic theft. That is the greatest theft of life. That is the greatest theft that we preclude ourselves from actually living. It's an unbelievable space. Unbelievable. I had to do this yesterday. I had a few hours. I had opportunity to spend, we have family visiting here, and the mind is constantly thinking about what needs to be done, what needs to be fixed, how to engage. And I had to consciously say to myself, Shmuel, deal with whatever you need to deal with, but then put it away.
You don't call yourself rabbi.
I don't call myself rabbi. It depends how.
You talk to yourself a lot.
A lot. I talk to myself a lot, sometimes out loud, and people look at me strangely. But my family's used to it. They always look at me strangely. But to say to myself, you have one opportunity in life, and that's to be alive. And you know whose decision that is? No one else's but your own. So do you want to be here together with your family? Do you want to be here together with your kids? Do you want to be able to engage with yourself in a way that you're living with vitality and connectivity? Or do you want to be continuously in a space where your life is being stolen by yourself? No one else is stealing it. You can literally put up those boundaries and say, sorry, for the next hour or so, I'm not available, or I need to just be present. And you need to say that to yourself as well. That's the biggest person you need to say that to. Finish off with this. You take from the theft or the thief, he has to, it's a crazy terminology, but he has to throw up the life that he swallowed. You have to force him. It's almost like he's swallowed your life. You have to force him to throw it up.
Exorcism.
An exorcism of sorts. That's why if you find it and you find it, that's why the terminology, if you look at the Torah, it says, Himatze timotze. If you surely will find it. a double terminology of finding. Why? You find it in his hand. Biyado daika. Ki ikar masha moitzin hageneva etzlo hu alidei b'chinas yadoi chizes v'ike v'esav hanebe b'Yaakov shezochel hakol kol Yaakov shakol mashke esagan shenimshach ma'atfila b'chinas din shel habal kol kayach shal yadoi. Unbelievable. It wasn't the part that I wanted to focus in on in terms of imatze timatze, but he focuses in on what does it mean that it's found in his hand. Well, it's not maybe found in his safe. Is it not found in the boot of his car? Or what's it in his hand? Why in his hand? You know why it's in his hand? Because there's a famous reference here. This is a symbol. For whom? Esav grabbing onto the ankle of Yaakov. Yaakov is referred to as the heel. Why? Because Esav was holding on to it. Why was Esav holding on to it? If you think about that contrast of existence, it's exactly that. Esav represents the world of doing, comes from the word asui, which means to do. It's all about externality, all about looking made. Yaakov represents the internality, represents the tense. And he's trying to hold him back. He's trying to hold him back. And the depth of Yaakov is a kol Yaakov. By Yadayim Yidei Esav. The voice is the voice of Yaakov. So one of the spaces to really work on this is the space of tefillah, is the space of being in shul, and creating a space of deep, deep presence of mind that you actually have an opportunity of connecting back to yourself. If you're not walking out of shul connected back to yourself, you're not experiencing it properly. If you're not walking in more silent and quiet, you're not experiencing it properly. But it starts with those two spaces. שעל ידי זה מסגברים לסטרה אחרה שבבחינת גנב ומוציאים ממנה גניבה שקדושה שבלה וגם עצמוס חיוסה שבבחינת כיפה בבחינת שניים ישלם. Unbelievable. And that is the space that we're trying to recreate for ourselves. That is, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do in Judaism is tap back into life. That's what we're trying to tap back into. It's a simple process of living life again. Not living life on an external level, looking like you're living, but actually not looking like you're cooking, but living, actually engaging with life. But it all comes back to these two steps. And all of these are found through the avenue of Yiddishkeit, through prayer, through davening, through engaging with Torah learning, through deeper spaces of giving yourselves opportunity to live again. And that's a decision that you need to make for yourself. Yeah.
How can you do, friends?